Dan, oil just saw its biggest single-day drop in nearly 2 years. What's your read on this? Does this suggest that markets believe the worst is over now?
And good morning. I do think that good news for the markets, good news for the world is not great news for crude. And the markets are certainly taking it that way. We had a $10 move to the upside around fears of escalation in the Middle East, and we're taking about that amount out of the market. And we're headed back toward thinking about supply demand as opposed to, whether or not infrastructure in the Middle East will be damaged. So good news for markets, bad news for oil. Now it's back to supply and demand.
Dan, if this ceasefire holds, does the geopolitical risk premium in oil completely evaporate from here, or is this going to be more of a rolling headline risk from now on? We've already seen a significant price coming out of both Brent and WTI. The question being now, how much further do you think oil has to fall?
Yeah, the next 48 to 72 hours are going to be really important to figure out if this ceasefire really is a ceasefire. We've made it through this process without any damage to energy infrastructure in the Middle East. The Straits of Hormuz have remained open. And so a majority of the risk premiums coming out. I think that as headlines subside, so does that risk premium. Where's oil headed? We're in an oversupplied oil market. If OPEC Plus continues to return production, it seems like they will. And so it feels like WTI oil is in a mid-50s to mid-60s range. We're now, unfortunately, at the top of that range, unfortunately, for energy companies, probably head a little bit lower in the near term as these tensions continue to ease and the markets get comfortable again.
Of course, Dan, one of the primary concerns here was that we could see the Iranians moving to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. We also saw that there was domestic internal geopolitical pressure to get that done. You called the Strait of Hormuz the geopolitical fulcrum of the oil market. Do you think the risk of a shutdown is now fully over as well?
Never say never, but a ceasefire would certainly take that. That's the biggest geopolitical weapon I think Iran would have to play. And I think in a ceasefire, it definitely takes that off the table. You put 20 million barrels a day through that. That's about 20% of world demand goes through the Straits of Hormuz. And so I think that's off the table unless things were to flare up again. And it would be relatively unprecedented. We've seen, even as bombs were flying back and forth between countries, the straits remained open and infrastructure was undamaged. So I think that would be a remarkable escalation, one that they haven't chosen to do so far. With a ceasefire on the table here, it feels like we're going to take that off the table for now.